Welcome to Tech Savvy 101, AI and Automation Made Simple. Hi, I'm Sarah Baker, your new Tech Savvy bestie. I'm a technology and automation coach, an online business owner, and a crazy busy mom of 3 kids under 10. Whether you're just starting to explore AI or you're ready to level up your tech game, I'm here to help make it all feel absolutely doable. No complicated jargon, no endless tutorials, just shortcuts and simple solutions that you can start using in your business right away. So, if you're ready to start saving hours every day with smart systems and AI tools, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Did you know that according to HubSpot, updating an old blog post can boost traffic by over 100%? Or that refreshed content often ranks faster on Google than brand new posts? And yet, most business owners and content creators spend their precious time and mental energy constantly churning out new content while totally ignoring the potential of the powerhouse assets that they already have. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on content revival, showing you how to update, optimize, and repurpose your old content so it works harder for you without the extra effort. If you're freaking exhausted from constantly creating and want smarter ways to grow, this episode is for you. Welcome back to Tech Savvy 101, AI and Automation Made Simple. I'm your host, Sarah Baker, your Tech Savvy bestie, who's here to help you simplify your business, embrace automation, and save hours every week. Today, we're diving into what I call the forgotten goldmine. All that amazing content you already poured your blood, sweat, and tears into creating. Yet, it could be working so much harder for your business. Because here's the truth. Creating brand new content isn't always the best use of your time. Sometimes the fastest path to more traffic, more leads, and more sales is updating what you already have. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. Let's just polish the hubcap from time to time. Did you know that 53% of marketers have observed higher engagement rates after updating old content? And 49% reported increased traffic? And it makes perfect sense when you think about it. You're building on a foundation that already exists rather than starting from scratch. You already did the hard part. By the end of this episode, you'll know exactly how to audit your existing content, identify the pieces with the highest potential, and transform them into traffic-generating powerhouses that continue working for you month after month. I'll even share a real-world case study of how revamping old content dramatically increased traffic and generated leads on autopilot. Let's dive in. Let's start with a mindset shift that completely changed my own approach to content creation. For years, I was caught in what I call the content hamster wheel, constantly creating new pieces, publishing them, getting a brief spike in traffic, and then watching them fade into obscurity as I moved on to the next thing. Sound familiar? It's freaking exhausting, right? And then I had this realization. I was sitting on a treasure trove of content that I'd already created. Blog posts, videos, podcast episodes, even social media posts. And they were all just collecting digital dust. Content that I had put the hard work into creating, but I wasn't fully leveraging it. Once you hit publish on anything, that isn't the end of the road. Whether it's a social media post, even though that short form content does have a short shelf life, you can pull it back off the shelf and post it again or repurpose it. Or if it's a long form piece of content like a blog post or a podcast episode, anything can be brought back to life with a little bit of TLC. Think about it this way. If you have 50 blog posts on your website and each one gets just 10 visitors per month, that's 500 monthly visitors. But what if you could revamp those posts so each one brought in 100 visitors per month? Suddenly, without creating anything new, you are at 5,000 monthly visitors. Okay, now let's do some quick math. Let's say you've got a strong call to action in every blog post. driving your reader to one of your offers. If you're converting at 3%, which is industry average, 3% of your previous 500 visitors per month would be 15 sales per month. Now, with your increase in traffic, 3% of 5,000 is 150 sales per month. You just 10x your sales without creating a single new piece of content. This approach isn't just more efficient, it's also strategic. According to Right Source Marketing, repurposing content allows businesses to extend the life of their original material, ensuring it remains relevant and continues to drive traffic over time. It's about maximizing the value of what you've already created. And let's be honest, creating new content from scratch is time-consuming and expensive. Remember, your time has value too. Refreshing existing content is often more cost-effective and provides a higher return on investment. You've already done the hard work of creating the initial framework. Now you're just optimizing it for optimal results. So, the million-dollar question, how do you find the golden nuggets in your content archive? Well, it starts with a strategic content audit. And here is my simple 3-step process. Step 1 is what I call the performance review. This is where you look at how your existing content is currently performing. If you have Google Analytics set up on your website, this is pretty straightforward. You're just going to look at the last 6 to 12 months of data and identify which pieces are already getting traffic, which pieces have the highest engagement, time on page, low bounce rate, and which pieces have already generated leads or sales. If you have a YouTube channel, you're going to look at things like watch time, retention rate, which percentage of the video people are typically watching, and click-through rate from impressions. If you have a podcast, you're going to look at things like download numbers, completion rates, if your platform provides this, and episodes that generated the most feedback or engagement. The goal here, regardless of what type of content you're looking at, is to create a spreadsheet with all your content pieces ranked by current performance. This will give you a baseline to work from. Step 2 is the potential assessment. This is where you're going to evaluate which pieces have the highest potential for improvement. Here, you're going to look for content that addresses evergreen topics. This is problems people will always have. I've talked about this in previous episodes, and I will link those episodes in the show notes. You want to find content that targets keywords with good search volume and low competition. You want your content to have clear connection to your products or services, and you want it to have been well received when it was initially published, but have since declined in performance. A really great tool for this is Google Search Console. It is free. You should have it installed on your website if you don't already, and it will show you what keywords your content is already ranking for, even if you're not currently on page 1. Content that's ranking on page 2 or 3 for juicy keywords often has really high potential. It means that you're in the race. You just need a boost to cross the finish line. According to marketers, addressing what they call content decay is crucial for maintaining long-term SEO success. Content decay happens when your once high-performing content starts getting less traffic over time. You're starting to drop. Monitoring this and catching it early can prevent major drops in your overall site visibility. This is why it's important to track your data. Step 3 is the gap analysis. This is where you're identifying what's missing from your high potential content. Now, for each piece, you're going to ask yourself the questions, is my information outdated? Are there any new developments in this topic area that I'm not addressing? Is this content comprehensive enough? Does this include relevant keywords in strategic places? And does it have a clear call to action? It would shock you how many times I read an article, listen to a podcast episode, watch a YouTube video, and get to the end, and there's no call to action. People shouldn't have to search for the next step. You also want to make sure if it's a blog post or something that people are reading, that it's formatted for easy reading and scanning. You don't want to have big chunks of text, especially if it's on mobile. Make sure that everything is formatted for mobile because Google prioritizes mobile-friendly formatting. If it has images, you want to make sure that it includes images that are relevant. And by the end of your 3-step audit, you should have a prioritized list of content pieces that are ranked by both current performance and future potential. Now, I know what you're thinking, Sarah, this sounds like a lot of work. And you're right. It can be time-consuming to do it manually, especially if you already have a lot of existing content. This is why I created an AI-powered content audit template as part of my AI Evergreen Content Machine course. It streamlines this entire process, making it possible to audit dozens or even hundreds of content pieces in just a few hours. Once you've identified your high-potential content, it's time for the revitalization process. Think of it like a makeover for your content. Here's my easy 5-step framework for bringing your old content back to life. Step 1, update it for accuracy and comprehensiveness. This is the foundation of everything else. First, you're going to go through your content, verify that all the facts and statistics are current, update any outdated information, add any new developments or insights that have emerged since you published it, expand any sections that feel a little thin or could provide more value, and remove anything that's no longer relevant. For example, if you wrote a blog post about Instagram marketing strategies in 2019, wholly outdated, Batman, you're going to want to update it with information about Reels, new algorithm changes, and current best practices. According to Snap Agency, updating old posts ensures that readers receive current and accurate information, which enhances your credibility and improves user satisfaction. And ultimately, satisfied users are much more likely to become customers. Step 2, optimize it for SEO. Even if your content was originally optimized for search, SEO, just like everything else, evolves over time. So make sure that your title tag and meta description are updated. Include your target keyword in the first 100 words. Add relevant secondary keywords throughout the content, and make sure that you're breaking up the text with optimized subheadings in H2 and H3. Add internal links to and from other relevant content on your site. I've talked about this in previous episodes, but make sure that you're not leading your reader to dead ends, because dead ends leads to them leaving your site. Make sure you always answer your own question, where to next? Where do you want your reader to go next if it's a blog post? Make sure you're optimizing your images. And another really powerful approach is to look at what's currently ranking on page 1 for your target keyword. What topics did those pieces cover that yours doesn't? What format are they using? What questions do they answer? This can give you a little bit of a blueprint for what Google considers comprehensive for that topic. Refreshing your outdated content is going to allow you to incorporate better keywords, potentially improving your search engine rankings. Research from Orbit Media and The Blogsmith found that bloggers who regularly refresh their content are twice as likely to report strong results compared to those who don't. Step 3 is to improve readability and user experience. Google increasingly prioritizes user experience in its rankings. Make your content more reader-friendly. I touched on this earlier, but you want to make sure you're breaking up those long paragraphs. Nobody wants to read a wall of text. Add bullet points, numbered lists, break up text with images, diagrams, or videos. Add a table of contents if you have a very, very long piece so that people can jump to the sections they are looking for. And make sure your content is mobile friendly. All of these user experience improvements signal to Google that your content is valuable, which can boost your rankings even further. Step 4 is to enhance your value proposition. This is where you're making your content not just informative, but truly valuable. Consider adding things like an interactive element or like a quiz or a calculator. Add a downloadable resource like a template or a checklist. Insert an expert quote or insights. Add in original research or data. Include step-by-step tutorials, including screenshots or videos. Make your content helpful and useful to your ideal customer or reader. And step 5 is to strengthen your call to action. A lot of your older content pieces probably either completely lack a call to action altogether, or they might have one that's no longer relevant. You may even be pointing to an offer you no longer have or another piece of content that is no longer relevant to your reader. Make sure you're updating your content to include a relevant and compelling call to action. Add a content upgrade that directly relates to the topic, and include multiple call to actions if you want for different stages of the buyer's journey. You can also test different call to action placements and formats. For example, you could have call to actions at the top of your article as well as the bottom. Once you've completed these 5 steps, it's time for the final piece, which is republishing and re-promoting. When you republish updated content, make sure to update the last modified date if your system allows it. Consider adding a note explaining that the content has been updated. Share the revitalized content across your social media, share it in your email newsletter. You could even consider running paid promotion to give it a little boost. This republishing process signals to both readers and, of course, search engines that your content is fresh and relevant. Now, let's look at some real data that shows just how powerful content revitalization can be. I want to share some fascinating case studies from Neil Patel's website. If you're not familiar with Neil Patel, he is one of the most respected names in digital marketing. He's the co-founder of NP Digital. Entrepreneur magazine says he created one of the 100 most brilliant companies. He is the co-founder of tools like Crazy Egg, Hello Bar, and Ubersuggest, and he consults for major companies like Amazon, NBC, and GM. His blog gets millions of visitors every month, so when he shares data about what's working in content marketing, it's definitely worth paying attention to. Recently, Neil's team repurposed some of their older content and published the results. They took 3 older blog posts and refreshed them using many of the same strategies I just walked you through. The results were absolutely mind-blowing. Let me share what happened with their first article about shadow banning. They updated the metadata to better match user search intent, refreshed the content with current terminology. It was previously called ghost banning, which is now called shadow banning, and refined their keyword targeting. Just one day after their refresh, clicks jumped from 134 to 245, which was an immediate 83% increase. But the long-term results were even more impressive. When they compared the 5 months before the update to the 5 months after, they saw a whopping 96% increase in clicks, from about 27,000 clicks to over 53,000 clicks. Not only that, but their keyword reach exploded too. Before the refresh, the article ranked for about 1,900 keywords, with only 53 in the top 3 positions on Google. After the refresh, they eventually reached over 2,500 total keywords, with 152 in those top coveted 3 spots. Now, obviously, not every content refresh will have the same dramatic results. Neil's team tried this with a second article about TikTok's For You page. And while they saw an immediate bump in traffic after the refresh, overall clicks actually declined by about 20% comparing the 2 5-month periods. But really, here's the interesting part about this article. Their research showed that interest in the topic itself had declined. Fewer people were researching for TikTok For You page. So even though clicks went down, their impressions and keyword ranking went up. So this tells us that the content refresh worked to improve visibility. They just happened to pick a topic that was trending downward in popularity. Their third article refresh about growing YouTube subscribers saw a 38% increase in clicks over the 5-month comparison period. So before the refresh, clicks had been steadily declining. But afterward, they shot up dramatically, reaching as high as 729 clicks in a single day a few months later. All right, so what's the takeaway from Neil's experiments? Content refreshes work, but some work better than others. One article saw clicks almost double, another saw a 38% increase, and one saw a decrease, although only because interest in the topic itself had declined. Even the article that didn't see an increase in clicks still benefited from more impressions and better keyword rankings, meaning that the refresh still improved its visibility, which is half the battle. So what really jumped out to me from Neil's data is how quickly some of these results happened. In all 3 cases, they saw immediate improvements the very next day after publishing their updates. This isn't a strategy where you have to wait months to see results, although the long-term benefits still continue to grow over time. Now, I want to address a question I get all the time, which is, how do I know which content to update first? And the answer is to focus on what I call the quick wins. Content that already has some traction, but isn't reaching its full potential. These pieces typically have keywords that are ranking anywhere on pages 2 to 5 of Google, and you can check this by checking on Google Search Console. Topics that are evergreen, meaning they're not tied to a specific date or event, and higher than average engagement metrics. You want them to also have a clear connection to your products or services. If you're not sure where to start, here's my recommendation. Look for your top 5 posts by traffic and your top 5 posts by conversions. Then check when they were last updated. If it's been more than a year, they are prime candidates for revitalization. Another strategy is to use Google Search Console to find keywords where you're ranking between positions 11 to 30. This is going to put you roughly on pages 2 to 3 of Google. Improving content that's already ranking on page 2 often takes a lot less effort than getting new content to rank from scratch. Let me share a few final tips for making this content revitalization process even more efficient. First, create a content revitalization schedule. This is where using a project management tool like Asana or Notion can be incredibly helpful. Personally, I use Asana. I have projects set up for all of my podcast episodes, my blog posts, and my YouTube videos, basically all of my long-form content. It allows me to see in one central hub the core information about each piece of content, like the title, the link to that piece of content, when it was posted, and I set a task for myself or my VA to go in and update that content on a regular, recurring schedule. Asana has an easy-to-use mobile app, so I can access all of the details about all of my content on the go too, which is really helpful for me since I'm pretty much always in the car as a super busy mom of 3. And then plan to update your most important pieces at least once or twice a year, and more often if it's a topic that changes frequently, such as Instagram, where the algorithm and recommended best practices seem to always be changing. Second, use AI tools to speed up the process. Tools like ChatGPT can help you identify outdated information, suggest new sections to add, and even draft updated paragraphs based on your guidance. If you have the paid plan of ChatGPT, you can literally just drop the entire copy in and ask ChatGPT to identify what information should be updated. However, as always, remember to always fact check and add your own unique perspective. AI is Chad, your unpaid intern, and you are the CEO. Third, build internal linking between your revitalized content. When you update one piece, look for opportunities to link to and from other related content on your site. This creates a powerful network effect that boosts the SEO value of all of your content. I spoke about this concept more in episode number 122, SEO Made Simple, How to Get Found on Google Without Being an Expert. If you'd like to learn more, I'll include a link to this episode in the show notes. Fourth, don't just update the text, also refresh images, videos, and other media. Visual content can become dated really quickly, and updating these elements signals freshness to both readers and search engines. Include original images wherever possible instead of relying on stock images. Fifth, don't limit yourself to just refreshing the original format. Research shows that repurposing content into different formats, like turning a blog post into a video or infographic, allows you to reach new audiences who prefer different content consumption methods. This approach maximizes the value of your original work by helping it reach an entirely different segment of your potential audience. This method is exactly what I teach inside my AI Evergreen Content Machine course, how to utilize AI tools to turn one piece of core content into dozens in a matter of hours, allowing you to maximize your reach across platforms without burning out. If you'd like more information about this course, I'll link to it in the show notes. And finally, don't forget to track your results. Data is king. Keep a record of which content you've updated, when you updated it, and how the performance changes over time. Going back to what I mentioned earlier, this is another great way to use your project management tool like Asana or Notion. Keeping all of your data organized inside your project management tool will allow you to quickly and easily access it when you get ready to plan future content. By tracking the data, you are able to see what is performing well and therefore create more content like that. This is what your ideal customers are responding to. This helps you refine your process and focus future efforts on the approaches that are working best for your specific audience and topics. And there you have it, the complete framework for transforming your forgotten content goldmine into a powerful traffic and sales generator. To recap what we've covered, start with a strategic content audit to identify high potential pieces. Update your content for accuracy, comprehensiveness, and of course, SEO. Improve the user experience and enhance the value of your content. Don't forget to strengthen your call to action, and then republish and promote the revitalized content. And of course, track your results and continually refine your approach. This approach is just one component of what I teach inside my AI Evergreen Content Machine course, where I show you my complete system for creating and optimizing content that continues to drive traffic, leads, and sales for months or even years after you publish it. Content revitalization is a critical part of that system because it maximizes the ROI on all the hard work you've already done. Instead of constantly creating new content that may or may not perform, you're strategically leveraging assets that you already own. If you'd like to learn my complete content machine system for creating content that works for your business around the clock, head to the show notes for the link to the course. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Tech Savvy 101. If you found this helpful, I'd love it if you could subscribe and leave a review. It helps other tech-curious entrepreneurs find the show. I'll see you really soon.
Thanks for tuning in to Tech Savvy 101, AI and Automation Made Easy. If today's episode made tech a little less intimidating for you, I would be so grateful if you'd leave a review and let me know what you loved. Don't forget to check out the show notes for links to any resources I mentioned today. Be sure to follow Tech Savvy 101 wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Tune in for AI in Action on Tuesdays for quick, practical AI tips, and join me on Thursdays for full-length episodes. Until next time, keep shattering that tech ceiling.